Welcome everyone to this Young Crew webinar. My name is Jonna. I'm from the Young Crew Finland.
With no further ado, I would like to introduce to us our speaker for today. The name of our speaker for today is Mr. Chinwe Mbere. He is an award winner, project management professional with over 24 years of extensive experience overseeing different projects across various regions, including Canada, Kazakhstan, Vietnam, and Ukraine. He is currently the CEO of Development and Project Management and Senior Project Manager at Engineering by Houghton INC, Canada. His passion is mentoring individuals in project management and implementing empowering environments that enable people and organizations to co-create and evolve. Also, his research interest focuses on the cognitive readiness of individuals in project management, which he shares as a speaker in conferences. And one of those conferences has to be one of our most recent conference, which was the IPMA World Congress, which took place in Cape Town. So, without no further ado, I would like to introduce to us our speaker for today, Mr. Chimi Mbere. Please take the floor, sir.
Yes, thank you, Abraham, and thank you, Jonah. It's a pleasure to be here today to share insights on about risk management. So I'll try and jump in right away, sharing my screen. So as Jonah says, since you're here today, it means you're somehow in touch with the IPMA ecosystem. And at the IPMA, what we do is move individuals and organizations forward. So I'm going to talk today about risk management. And I'll take you through the IPMA competence element called risk and opportunities. Risk and opportunity. And then talk about the key competence indicators and take you through the expectations from the perspective of key of the IPMA assessors. Okay, so look at this event as an opportunity to enhance your competence or your readiness for certification before the IPMA assessors. So let me share my screen. I hope you can now, can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So as I said, this is one of the competence elements, and in the IPMA ecosystem, when you attend activities or events like this, you have the opportunity to have it, checked by the IPMA ecosystem as one of your attempts, your continuing professional development. Okay, so for that, of course, you have to get registered in the IPMA. On the My IPMA world, get registered, and then you could get a CPD, okay, registered with the IPMA. So just for you to be aware that such events like this, could be recorded as part of your continued professional development. Right. So I'm going to talk about the competence element called risk and opportunity. And it consists of 5 competence indicators. Okay, so the first competence indicator is your framework, the risk management framework. The assessors of the IPM certification will expect you to identify potential models or frameworks that you use for your risk management. So look at this as preparation, I would say, for your future certification, where you're expected to demonstrate before the IPMA assessors that you know these competence elements and that you possess the skills of using these competence elements in your project management and thereby enhancing your competence in risk and opportunity competence elements. So next competence indicator is identifying risk and opportunities. Again, here, the assessors will expect you to source your risk and opportunities, identify them, record them in your risk register. So the assessors will expect you to demonstrate this is what I call artifacts. So your risk register is an artifact that you could demonstrate during your certification to your assessors as proof that you are competent in using this competence element. So I won't go into details here, but the idea is to bring to your attention that today we are going to talk through these competence indicators and what are the measures. So the measures or the application is what is expected of you to demonstrate before the assessors. And we'll try to talk about it. Please feel free to throw in your questions. I'm sure the moderator will, at the right time, call my attention to answer your questions you may have. So please throw them in as I move on. Okay, so as I said, the first competence element is called the framework, developing and implementing a risk management framework. The ISO 31000 risk management principles and guideline is aligned with the IPMA key competence indicator, which is the first that you see on your screen right now. The second, which is identifying your risks. So here you may want to tap into your previous projects, your experience, or a checklist, depending on your type of project or your industry you're in. You may have a standard risk structure that you may want to tap in for starters, again, at the beginning of any project, and then have it adapted, using as a checklist, adapted to your project and updating. So it's kind of enables you not to start with something and not from scratch. So you want to do that with your team and eventually populate your risk register with risks that you've articulated. Now, as you move on through your project, through the stage of your project, you will have to be populating your risk register as risks events pop up. Now, the third competence indicator is assessing the probability and impact of those risks. So here you carry out the qualitative analysis of your risk and quantitative analysis of your risks. Of course, it's very important for you to involve the key stakeholders that are well experienced, that have dealt with such risk in the past, and they could give their view, enrich the team with their view for you to decide eventually the impact and probability of each of these risks. Here, the assessors will expect you to demonstrate artifacts regarding how you assess your risks qualitatively and quantitatively, and how that procedure in your team how it was performed through brainstorming or your SWOT analysis or your Delphi approach. The next key competence indicator is your response plan. So here, the assessors would like to see how you manage your risk and opportunities, assess how you assess the possible risk responses, alternatives, and the people and resources are available. Then you implement the plan and communicate it with your stakeholders. So in the IPMA assessment procedure, if you're able to demonstrate 50% of these measures, okay, then you get a check as passed this competence indicator. The last competence indicator is how you evaluate and monitor your risks. So here the assessors expect you to demonstrate how you monitor, manage your risk and opportunities, and how you communicate that to your key stakeholders throughout the life cycle of your project. So again, you have your live risk register that gets populated during, you could have your risk sessions weekly, monthly, quarterly, depending on what level, a record level you're operating. So the team will have risk review sessions once a week or during the monthly reporting period as a section of your project report. So risks that have come to life or that the team envisioned during that period, that monthly reporting period. It could be quarterly. If we are now reporting to senior or higher management, they will want to have a view, have information on how your risks are performing every quarterly. So you have to communicate risks in those management periods or as events happen, or there is likelihood of an event, risk event coming to life. You want to capture that, log it onto risk register for the team now to review and assess. And so the team, the tool I'm going to demonstrate to you today, gives you that ability to record, to capture your risk events and communicate that with the stakeholders, and then assess them, do a simulation, Monte Carlo simulation, and then demonstrate to your stakeholders on how your team, managing your risk in your project management. Okay, so 5 key competence indicators. You are expected to pass 50% of those. So if you have 5 key competence indicators, in this situation, in this case, you have to pass 3 out of 5 to pass this competence element called risk and opportunity. All right. Okay, so I've given you some theoretical concepts in alignment with the International Project Management Association Individual Competence Baseline, ICB-4, for individuals in project management. Now, let's move on and see how what it looks like and how this can be performed in a live environment, in a project environment. So for that, we'll jump in to a platform called Oracle Primavera Cloud. That's what you see right now on your screen. that's the welcome page of this platform. This platform is provided thanks to DPM, Development and Project Management. It's a registered provider within the IPMA ecosystem. And we have now this opportunity to kind of translate what we've just we know about risk and try to see how that is performed in the environment. So we'll now jump in to a project. So I've prepared a project, simple project, and health app. Okay, so now this is the project. Jump into the activity page, activities. Here we go. So now let's look at the deliverables of this project. So let me expand that. Okay. So now you see this project has the following goals. One is to implement this project within duration of 83 days and a budget. Let's put, I think, on that page, we can see that. Anyway, so one of the goals of this project is to implement it within a duration of 83 days. Now, that's the project level. While the deliverables level, we have project management as a deliverable, we have design, feasibility, software development, and testing. So these are all deliverables. Now, at the project level duration, the goal is to finish the project in that duration, 3, and then the deliverables, 10 days for design, feasibility, 28 days, software, and so on. So now, this is the context within which we intend to apply risk management. So there are 2 constraints in a project, mostly, the duration and the budget. Now, that's the goal of the project. So let's now go in. But before I go in, let me a quick overview of the Oracle Private Cloud platform. It is an environment for collaboration between the team members. That could be the clients, the owner team, and the delivery team. Okay, so it is not a situation where you have one party owning the platform and reporting, exchanging files, but they have access to one schedule. So you can imagine how powerful it is when you have the team member, the team, the implementing, let's say the subcontractors or the foreman on site, or the developer, owner of the task, doing his task, and those tasks are integrated with the activity, the critical path activity, which is what you see here. So there's that connect. And then, so let me just see what it looks like. So here we have an activity, and here we have a task so this way the tasks are populated within the activity. Now, so you have the project team, you have the implementing party, I have the owner delivery, the owner team. So all parties have access to the schedule. Again, all participating parties in this project have live access to the platform through their smartphones, through their gadgets, iPads, and so on, and of course their computers. So they have access to this environment on the go. It's cloud-based, and from anywhere you are, you have access to what's happening on your project. And if there's any communication, it gets you get informed. Your email, that there's a message for you. You can collaborate like a WhatsApp channel, okay, between team members. So you're able to pull whoever, let me just pull myself. So this, I'm a team member, I can post, and this collaboration interaction is recorded. You can delete it. So it empowers the team member, empowers the implementing, the subcontractor, the foreman, empowers the team lead and senior management. Okay, so you can communicate with your stakeholders on a platform. Why are we communicating? Because we want to implement, we have a goal to deliver this deliverable called, in this case, let's say, defining a scope, has to be done before the 5th of December, and 2 days, I think. You have your design has to be, requirement, prototype has to be completed within these durations. Those are goals of your project that hierarchically sum up to be 83 days at the project level. And that is the goal. And each team member is responsible for each of these deliverables. Now, we now apply risk management in relation to achieving these goals. Talking about the design, 10 days, that consists of 2 activities, 2 deliverables called requirements and prototyping. Okay. Now, let's move on. The next, okay, I've got 15 more minutes, I think. Okay. So next, we now move on to the risk register page. So for that, I open a new tab. So the power of OPC is you have these tabs, you can switch between tabs. So I now have my risk register. So this is my live document. It's a database that gets populated throughout the life cycle of a project. Now, at this point in time, we have articulated 6 risks. Here they are. Okay, so you have description of the risk, the cause, effect, and description, which consists of the cause and effects together. Now, these risks, events, we have the details here. You have activities that impact these risks. So let's see. All right, I think I'll pull that out from somewhere. Okay, let me see. Let's see. Okay, activities impacted. Let's see. Like activities, I should see. Okay, here we go. Here, right. So now, the activity, the risk, user dissatisfaction. Okay, that's the risk. It's impacting the following activities: create database, project planning, and staffing. Okay, non-compliance, define scope, and planning. So these are the activities these risks are impacting. I have codes. Okay, so each risk has a code. This enables me to categorize my risk for reporting purposes. So I have the PESTEL approach, or the risk breakdown structure approach. So these are codes that are that you could use in your in categorizing your risk. So that is how we do it. And then you could have files that describe or articulate or those your risks, which is stored with access on the platform. So we've articulated the risk. Each risk has to be assessed. We've done the assessment here. We could override those here. Okay, the pre-response and the post-response. So when a risk is identified, the team will sit on it. We'll deliberate on this risk and assess the probability, its impact on the schedule, and impact on the cost. So that is the pre-assessment, and then there's a score for that. So let's pull the score, the pre-response score and the post-response score. So let's pull that up, the pre-response score and the post-response score. Apply. So here we are. We now see that the pre-response score of this risk is 28 and the post-response is 12. So that gives us an idea that it makes sense to implement the response action on regarding these risks. So we do the assessment, and the assessment impact probability of any risk is done in a workshop mode, involving the key stakeholders that are most knowledgeable about that risk, and other stakeholders that have a view, that may share some insights that will be valuable in assessing the probability and the impact of this risk. And then the activities with the impact. So that is done. The other type of risk. So we have two type of risk. One is a risk event, which is risk, which is articulated on the risk register, and the uncertainty, activity uncertainty. Okay, so which is done on the activities page by assessing the activity uncertainty. So here you go. And we give a view of the most likely duration of the activity, the minimum and the maximum. So as you know, individuals get stressed when they're asked to tell or say how long it will take for them to perform an activity. All right, so if you share with your team that, just give your best guess how long it will take to do your activity, the responsible resource for that activity, and then you, as the planner or project manager, you can now give or ask their views on the most likely, which is duration, of course, the maximum and the minimum. In this case, you can see I've 100% is the most likely. The minimum duration, I'm saying 90%. It could be 80, it could be 70, whatever. Okay, and then the maximum duration, it could be 140. Okay, and apply that. So I'm now applying the activity uncertainty on each activity, and now I can see the results. So here is the planned duration, the most likely duration, which is the same as the planned duration, and then the minimum duration, and the maximum duration. All right, so I've done that now. So I've captured the two types of risk, the risk event and the activity uncertainty. Now let's move on. Now, so do some analysis. Before we go there, okay, that's what we call prioritized implementation of your response plan. You see, on this page called the response actions, you are able to capture all your response plans and then have an analysis of which response plan makes sense to implement in the first place, no matter priority. So here we see the pre-response score at 28. The post-response score is 12. And the score improvement, 16. The second response action has a score, pre-response score of 12 of 10, and then post-response of 7, where it's an improvement of, 3 and improvement of 7. So you can see that it makes sense to implement the response action, this response action that has the maximum score improvement. And then the next could be the one that has an improvement of 7. Implement this plan, because each response action has costs associated with it. It becomes an activity in this schedule. So let's now move on to our analysis, shall we? Again, a new tab. So I have to run it here. So there are 3 modes, okay? The fast, slow, and the custom. So let me go on custom. So here I have some settings to do. So I want to select analysis results for project and all activities, fine. Risk removal on yes. Include risk, yes, include risk. And then have my pre and post response, yes. Right, I'm set. I'll leave this as is, settings. And then I'll run my analysis and see what happens now. This was the previous analysis I did. So let's see what this, okay, I have to wait a while. While the results are popping up, I'll try to explain based on my previous analysis I did, which is what is on the screen right now. That has to do with the finish date of my project. Remember 83 days? Now, which is the duration of 28th of March 2025, next year. So I have my, these are my distribution results, pre-response results, and my finish dates. Now, with this pre-response assessment, I see that the probability of achieving 28th of March next year is just 0%, okay? The 10% probability is 6th of May next year, and 90% probability is 18th of August next year. So now this is based on the impact of the risk events and the activity uncertainty. Then we have the impact on the cost at completion cost. Okay, so dates and cost. Now, let's see, let's have a look at the mean impact. Okay, let's have some details on that. So now we see the impact of activity uncertainty and the risk events we articulated on the activities and on the project, the tornado chart. You can also see, so again, we have, these are the details. So with these statistics, we can now, you have, I'll say, a more productive discussion with your team, with your stakeholder, a fair discussion on bias of what, of where your project is heading. Now we can also have, we can also do the, we go back to do the distribution results. Let's do pre and post response, shall we? Right. So we see the, let's see, it was the pre-response assessment, initial assessment before the response plan action, and then the post-response. So you can see the improvement now, slight improvement, not much, but you can see that. So the post-response and the pre-response together looks like that. okay, pre-response and the post. So you can see it has shifted now. It's now the dates are closer now. Talking about that, the cost, talking about the finish dates. I'll be here so you can see finish dates now. This is post response, that's the pre-response. Okay. What else? So with this now, you can now have a productive discussion with your team members on how to improve that. Okay, so pre and post. It was pre-response was 1.73%. That's after I did my second analysis I did. Now 1.73%, and the post response, which says that I'll have the probability of achieving these dates given the activity uncertainty and the risk events. This is what is looking at. This is what I'm aiming at. Okay, so then I have a response plan put in place. Post response gives me that now I have a better, 5.6% now. Okay, so this gives you, this is called a Monte Carlo simulation. It gives you an understanding of where you are with your risk management. And the assessors in the IPMA certification procedure will expect you to come for your certification and show something like a screenshot of this, a screenshot that will demonstrate to the assessors that you perform your risk management in alignment with the IPMA key competence indicators. In this case, we are talking about monitoring and communicating your risk management with your stakeholders. So if you show them these artifacts, you're likely to be checked as pass for this competence indicator, the fifth one. Okay, seems I'm now about my time is up, so I will now sit back and then please your questions, and then we can move on to the Q&A session.
Thank you. I want to say a very big thank you for your insight that you've provided. It's been very impactful, and I think it is something that most of us would take to our different workplaces or organizations to apply to our day-to-day work life. So moving forward, if there is anyone who has a question at this point, I think it is the best time to unmute the mic and ask the question. And if you feel uncomfortable to speak, you can put your question on the chat, and we will go ahead from there. But I would say myself, I have just one question, and my question would be, I mean, for example, I am very new in project management. So for a new project manager, someone who has just started out as a PM, how can I effectively prioritize risk, like during the planning phase, to ensure that the high impact risks are addressed proactively without, for example, over allocating resources to the low impact risk? That would be my question.
So just to rephrase your question, you're saying, you know what, where would it make sense for me to invest my resources as a risk manager?
Yeah.
Now, for starters, you want to make sure you're doing risk management with the team. So let me just pull up a slide that kind of articulates that. Let me share my screen again, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah, and then get us there. Right. So it says that you want to consider involving the subject matter experts, okay, in your risk assessment, probability and impact. Because based on that assessment, you will now see the high priority risk where you may want to consider investing resources. Now, it has to be done in a team framework environment with subject matter experts being part of that discussion and other stakeholders, because each individual has their perspective on risks. For someone, it's something new. Hasn't done that project before. So for other individuals, they may have seen or they may have dealt with that risk before. So that workshop, I call it a risk management workshop, that should take place in your projects once a month, depends on, bi-weekly, where you come together to address the risks that have been captured on the risk register, and debate, put forth arguments, why you think your assessment of that risk is how you say the low, high, middle, medium, and why you've done that. Because sometimes, you say, okay, it's a design, manager. You say, okay, you know what? I had a situation before in my design situation, and this is how we managed it, and kind of got around it. So I think it's similar context that we have in this project now, that we can rate it as medium, impact or probability. So such discussions enables you now as a team to validate your assessment as being, well, let's say as close as possible. Okay, it is better than when you as an individual you make that choice. We have our perspective on things. We have a frame of reference on how we perceive reality. So when you have that discussion with your team members, you're more likely to come to a less biased assessment. And then with that overall assessment, you will see if you have a fair picture of your assessments of your risk and prioritize. Then you invest, of course, in the risk that has the highest score as per your team assessment. So the bottom line is that you want to do that assessment in a workshop mode, and with the participation of subject matter experts, other stakeholders that could be impacted or have that could impact that risk, and of course the risk manager responsible that has to take ownership of implementing a response plan on that risk. So I hope I answered your question. If not, please, you can clarify.
Yes, that was very sufficient. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to ask any question or suggestion? Okay, so I think if there's no question, I believe it's been a very wonderful webinar session, and I want to say a very big thank you to you, sir, for your contributions to us. And at this moment, I will love to hand over to my colleague Yonna to go ahead. Thank you.
Just one more thing before you move on, right, Jonah? Please, who would like to get in touch, in contact, please, go to Jonah, the Young Crew, Finland, and they will get in touch with me.